So, I'm playing and I'm grinding the Chinese Tier 3 MG3FT, and there's a T80 in the distance. We're gonna go for a couple of shots. Oh, that one went high. Yeah, playing it with a 75% crew, so not entirely happy with the tank. Oh, that one went high. Oh, okay. I was about to say I'm not too happy with the tank, but yeah, T80. There's a Chiha up there outside of my render range, and this shot goes high and misses, and I figured the next shot was gonna go high and miss as well, but yeah, not having a lot of fun. Oh yeah. I love it when that sort of thing happens. Hi folks, and welcome to the Ace Tanker for the Hetzer, or more correctly, I suppose it's the Jagdpanzer 38T. This is a tank that I hadn't played in a long time. It was a tank, Tier 4 German TD, therefore I would have played it on day 1, possibly day 2 of playing World of Tanks, and I basically ground through it and sold it. So it's a tank I've been meaning to get into and rebuy and ace for a long time because I didn't do it first time round because I was a newbie. But we'll get on with the history. Basically in December 1943, Alket, who were building the Stug 3, they were hit by Allied bombing, and as a result the Stug 3 production, or TD production for Germany, basically went downhill. They went from producing thousands or hundreds a month down to just a handful. The Jagdpanzer 4 and the Stug 4 that I covered in a recent video, they were still in production, and Germany had no TDs being developed. So Skoda, as a stopgap measure, were asked to develop a tank destroyer based on the Panzer 38T. Now, this was December 1943, so just 3 months later, the prototypes were built in March 1944, it would have been. So in just 3 months, this tank was designed and built as a prototype. It was trialed in April, and then passed its trials and then went into production in May. So this went from design concept in December 1943 to being developed and produced in May 1944. There were nearly 3,000 of them built over just 1 year. Between May 1944 and May 1945, there were almost 3,000 of them built. As the tank was rushed into production, there were some problems. In fact, many problems. Basically, there were multiple variants of Jagdpanzer 38 along the year it was in production. Things like it was heavier than the Marder 3 it was based on. So the Marder 3 was a TD that was also based on the Panzer 38T, but this tank was 5 tons heavier than the Marder 3, so therefore they had to widen the tracks because basically this thing would sink into the ground, whereas the Marder 3 wouldn't. So the tank was also frontal heavy due to the fact it had the gun on front and also the extra armor. It had much more extra armor on front, so it was front heavy, and that caused problems with the suspension. So there were multiple variants experimenting with road wheels and different suspension types to try and resolve this. The driver's viewport was a shot trap, it was discovered. So basically the viewport for the driver prevented shots that were basically coming in at the front of the tank from actually ricocheting off. So the viewport was reduced, and it was turned into just basically a slit, which meant that shots were more likely to bounce off. That was another variant. The front of the tank, here you could see that these were bent down. These, I don't know what you call them technically, but mud guards or whatever. These were originally flat. They were then bent down to prevent the getting caught. They were getting caught and ripped off by bushes and trees. So there were lots and lots of variants. I suppose most interestingly for me, the vehicle was completely blind to the right hand side. So if all the crew were inside the vehicle and all the hatches were closed, the vehicle couldn't see to the right hand side. It couldn't see out here. There was no viewport or no way of seeing to the right of the tank. So that was going to be resolved in a future variant. There was a plan to add a rotating periscope to resolve the issue, but the war ended before it was implemented. implemented. And in late 1944, under direct orders from Hitler, a version of the Jagdpanzer 38, utilizing a flamethrower. A flamethrower was equipped instead of a gun. They were built. There were about 50 of those built. They were called the Jagdpanzer 38. There were also plans to fit the Hetzer with the Panther's 75mm L70 gun. There was another plan to fit it with a 150mm howitzer, and there was yet another plan to give it a 105mm gun. But the war ended before any of those could be developed. Perhaps maybe the most interesting thing about the Jagdpanzer 38 is that it wasn't actually supposed to be called Hetzer. Hetzer, German for hunter, basically. So at the same time as the Jagdpanzer 38 was being developed, Skoda were working on another TD prototype that was going to be known as the E10. Now, that E10 was named Hetzer by Skoda, but due to a documentation mix-up and when the Jagdpanzer 38s were first delivered to the troops, they had the wrong manuals, and the manuals identified it as a Hetzer. So the troops started calling it a Hetzer. Now, Heinz Guderian also reported to Hitler that the troops were calling it the Hetzer, even though it was a problem with the documentation. So technically, it's not referred to as a Hetzer in any official documentation, but as the E10 was never developed, I guess the name stuck, and many historians continue to call it the Hetzer after World War II. Anyhow, in-game, this is a tank, as I say, I've wanted to get back to in a long time, because I knew when I finally got back into a Hetzer it would probably be a keeper. The first time around, I was very new to the game. I played through it, as I say, on day 1 or day 2 of playing World of Tanks, and I didn't ace it. And of course, back then I was selling tanks to make credits so that I could buy the next tier up, and you know, I didn't know much about the tank. I didn't know it had a decent choice of guns or very good frontal armor. I didn't know it had a very good camo rating. I probably didn't even use the derp gun, but, you know, it could use a derp gun, and I love my derp tanks. So, you know, they're all good things. The downside, I suppose, is that it's not very fast, and when I was driving it, it felt very sluggish, more sluggish than I remember. The gun arc is terrible. It's got better gun arc to the right than it does to the left. It's got almost no gun arc to the left, but it's still pretty bad gun arc. It's got terrible side and rear armor, and the worst thing about it is it has incredibly bad view range. So we might as well pop into Tanks GG. So like I say, there's a decent choice of guns for the Hetzer. Usually you're going to choose between the Pak 39 L48, which 110 damage, 110 penetration, and 16 rounds a minute with .37 accuracy. So that seems to be a pretty good gun, but I love my derp guns. So again, I went for a gun that historically didn't come on the tank, but historically, as I mentioned, was actually going to be put on the tank had the war not ended. So this is the 105 Stu H 42 L28. Now what this gives you is 350 damage with 64 pen with AP, and you see quite a few Stug drivers using the derp gun firing AP because that's decent penetration, especially against lightly armored targets or lower tiers. You've also got heat, which you get 105mm of penetration, and yeah, I mean, okay, I don't think I have any heat on the tank. It's no point in firing it, but what you do have is HE, so you've got 53mm of penetration, so the HE obviously worse than the AP, but you get 410 damage. Now, as I say, you see a lot of players just using the AP because the AP seems to be very good, but you know, I like my derp gun, so we're going to go with the HE in this one. So accuracy 0.53, which is not, you know, very good, but it's for a derp gun, it's okay. The rate of fire is exceptionally good using the derp gun, so you get 7.28. So yeah, 7.28 rounds a minute. So yeah, I think the derp gun is that's why I rebought the tank. That's why I was looking forward to playing it. Now, as I say, the other good thing about the tank, other than its view range, which is absolutely awful, is we have very good frontal armor. So what you can see is the frontal armor is about 108mm. That means lower tier tanks going to have severe problems going through this. Even similar tier tanks, even higher tier tanks might bounce off the front of this tank. The gun mantlet's pretty good. As you can see, it's rounded, so you get, you know, slight areas above it, but you get about 150mm of effective armor armor down to 170 off the gun mantlet. The lower glacis is a weak spot, even though it's quite well angled and looks quite well angled. It is a weak spot, just in case you don't know. So if you are facing a Hetzer frontally and it's showing its lower glacis, this is where you want to shoot it. So it's only about 77 millimeters of penetration needed to go through the lower glacis. But the side armor, absolutely terrible. I got one hit killed twice by enemy Hetzers who managed to fire AP rounds through the side of my tank. And the rear of the tank is absolutely garbage at only 8 millimeters. So this is where you kind of want to get to a Hetzer. You want to get to its side, you want to get to its rear. It, could be a little bit tricky because the Hetzer actually has decent traverse speed, but that's where you want to go if you want to try and pen this thing. Don't take it on frontally unless you know you can pen its lower glacis reliably and that it's not going to derp you in one shot. So yeah, Hetzer, I was really looking forward to getting back into it. And I was really hoping for an epic game because I've been looking forward to getting back into this tank for so long. It's derp, it's got frontal armor, it's pretty much exactly like I want my TDs to be. I like to be aggressive in my TDs, I like to play on the front line, unless I've got absolutely no choice. But anyway, we're going to go. There's the Marder 3 or the Marder 38T that the Hetzer took over from. It's got wider tracks, as I mentioned, than the Marder. So yeah, we're going to go advance, and I noticed that not very many tanks are coming down to this flank, so I'm just going to go into the bush and start off by sniping. But I'm platooned with Tanza. We're here on the Arctic map. It is called Arctic region. And yeah, tier 4 is in a tier 5 game. Very well, 5 tier 5s on either side. Everyone else is a tier 4, so pretty decent matchup. Now you can see the gun is mounted more to the right hand side of the tank than the left, so I'm able to hide more of my tank behind the rocks. So just gonna wait here and deal with the very poor view range. Even with binocs, the view range is terrible, and hope for targets to appear. So yeah, I was just incredibly disappointed. I mean, at the end of this game, I was saying to Tanza, really? Come on, that's an ace? Ah. So I guess a lot of people don't play the Hetzer or don't play it very well. Probably like I did when I first started playing World of Tanks. Okay, first victim, and yeah, it's a Matilda, and yeah, okay, Matilda heavily armored, but you can see the reload for a derp gun is okay. The shell does loop to the target, and there we go. I was praising the accuracy. That one hits the ground in front of the Matilda behind, but yeah, it's not fun. I've got a lot of friendlies in front of me, and I don't really want to risk firing. Even though I do. You can see the shell looping there, and I get spotted, and I'm going, what the heck spotted me? How did I just get spotted? Okay, something has just spotted me, and I have no idea what, but okay, there's arty in this game. There's 2 arty on the enemy team, so yeah, okay, let's just advance. Let's go for it, because our team are pushing forward. They're pushing the enemy Matildas back. A lot of Matildas on the enemy team. There's Panzer 4H down here. So we're just going to advance and maybe try and smack someone in the face. Okay, nah, okay. So let's get into cover. Yeah, there we go. I knew it. Arty was going to be aiming for me, so we're already on the move, already getting into cover from Arty. And just advancing, so want to get at least one of these Matildas out of the way. 2 of them are down already. There's a 3rd Matilda. Not much to shoot at. And of course the shot goes into the ground, but it doesn't matter, he goes down anyway. So, alright, Panzer 4H. Now he's down to 111 health, so I should be able to derp him. No, he's easy now. There we go. So just derp him on the move. You could see very narrow gun arc, and we're just advancing, and only 1 kill, only 109 recorded damage so far. Yeah, it's not an exceptional game, and yeah, we seem to be doing quite well. The score is 8-4, so we're just going to advance and maybe deal with some of their arty. So in the meantime, Tanza is knocking up the kills on the other side. He's up to 3 kills. So struggling, as I say, the engine power a little bit, it just feels a lot more sluggish than I remember it being. I mean, trying to get up here, we're down to 10 kilometers an hour going uphill. Yeah, you can hear the engine struggling. But just going to move up, see if we can spot anything. Oh, hello. There's another Matilda. 4 Matildas on the enemy team, so 123. Let's get down. His gun depression's okay, but he's coming, he's poking. Oh, there's the narrow gun arc, and there's the terrible accuracy, but okay. he's just going to bounce on my frontal armor. And that's what I said. You know, that's what I said. The frontal armor on this, he's a tier 5 with very good penetration, and he's bouncing. But we take him out, so that's a tier 5 gone down for my second kill. So yeah, frontal armor on this will even cause higher tier tanks, even a tank like the Matilda with awesome penetration to bounce. So Bishop, oh, he hit me, but at least I've got frontal armor and I can derp him back just as hard, probably harder. So, alright, moving forward. Still another RT, not very many tanks left on the enemy team, you know, and this is just it. The score is 14-6 and just one RT left, and, you know, I thought this was a very, very average game. Now we've got the downside of firing HE. Oh yeah, it doesn't carry a lot of ammunition. Even though I haven't been firing my gun constantly, I'm down to 9 rounds, but, yeah, I can't fire because there are these woods. The wood is in the way. I've got to go through the wood, derp him in the side, and game over with just 4 kills. And 2 of them were RT kills, so, yeah. So when this popped up, I got very, very upset because, as Tonza would tell you, I was just disappointed. I thought this was just an average, derpy game, and, you know, most of the enemy team went the other side and died, and I didn't get to shoot very much. I suppose what I did get to shoot were basically tier 5s, but we picked up the ace and we picked up Bascucci's medal for killing 2 RT, and that was pretty much it. I was very disappointed that it was an ace, and it only took 898. I was really expecting something epic, and it just didn't happen, so I can't complain. First ace in the tank has to be brought to you, but we only did 1,000 damage, only 1,000 damage, only 4 kills, and, you know, not even 900 XP was enough to ace, or enough to, wasn't a particularly high ace or hard ace to get, so we only managed to hit 7 out of 12 because it's a derp gun and the accuracy really isn't there, but we did, well, the penetration, HE doesn't matter. We spotted 4 damage, 5, destroyed 4, and only managed to do 44 assistance damage, so not even that much assistance damage, and we finished up with 19,000 credits. So it wasn't my first game of the day. I just rebought the tank, and I was telling Tonza that I want to play it. I want to play it again. The game I had prior to this wasn't great, so I wanted to play it again, but yeah, yeah, Hetzer, it's a keeper, the Jagdpanzer 38T. I'll probably keep it, but I need a very good crew in it, and my crew aren't amazing, and yeah, just a little bit disappointed because it's a tank I wanted to play again for so long, and now that I'm in it again, I just find the speed a little bit annoying. I find the view range incredibly annoying, but the armor's nice and it's got a derp gun. So anyway, let me know what your best memories of the Hetzer are, or whether or not you've kept yours. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.